Hello, on the Daily Family. Happy Friday. Welcome back to the show. If this is your first time listening to On the Daily, I'm Danielle, your host. I'm so glad you're here. I have a lot to share today. And one of those things is that we are officially in the 12 days of D, which is the 12 days leading up to my birthday. And I have decided to celebrate you for my birthday this year. And one of the ways that I'm doing that is every day for 12 days leading up until the 20th, which is my birthday, I am going to do a special deal, a special bundle, a special offer, all the things. So every day has a different deal. And every day it'll be a little bit different, just leading up until the 20th. So if you want to know what today's deal is, you can click the link in our show notes. You can also come over and see me on Instagram at Danielle_on the daily. And then also, I finally have launched my new website, and it is so gorgeous and it is so beautiful and it is so me and such an epic representation of who I am and what I stand for. And it's just like a really more like elevated version of me, which I am so obsessed with. So, what I want to share with you on that is go to daniellemccleary.com and check it out for yourself. Like, I talk about branding all the time, and I talk about making sure that your branding is a representation of you. And this website is such a representation of me, and I hope it just makes you feel good. So www.daniellemccleary.com. Go check out my courses, ways to work with me, basically jumping into my swimming pool. Like I always say, like cannonball into my swimming pool with me. It's never been easier, and it's so clear and it's so to the point. And there's so many different ways that you can work with me. You can purchase one of my courses. You can work with me one-on-one. You can work with me in a mastermind, human design reading, you name it, it exists. And now it's even easier to book and get a hold of and just keep track of all the things that I'm doing. You can also find the podcast on there. And some like popular episodes, my favorite episodes. There's a whole page for that on the website. So go check it out. Okay. The big thing I want to share with everyone today is a story. And this story is, I think, I think it's so important because I talk a lot about following your intuition on this show. That is one thing I talk about more than anything. And a lot of people don't know what it feels like to follow their intuition. And I realize that. And, obviously, if you've worked with me in any of my courses, you know how to follow your intuition because it's the first thing I talk about. And I think it's such an important part of business. And I think it's such an important part of who we are. But the story I want to share with you is the story of buying and building the home that I'm building and buying right now from the ground up. And when we first decided that this was what we were going to do and we were going to move to Texas and we were going to build a home from scratch, every piece of logic in my brain was like, no, this is not the time. Interest rates are going up, like the world is so all over the place. Like nobody really even knows like what they're doing. How do you know that this is a sure thing? I had family members telling me that it wasn't a good idea and that I was biting off more than I could chew, and building a house from the ground up is a really risky endeavor. And like, what if, something happens in your business and you can't close on the house? Like so many different fears. So logically on paper, it didn't make sense when we did it. And my dad died January 16th, 2021. So it's almost been 2 years. And so when we went to buy this house a year ago, my dad wasn't even here. And this was the person I would call and be like, I need you to tell me if this is a good idea. So not even having him here, it was like messing with my head so much during that time because logic, my brain, my ego was panicking that this was a terrible idea. But I just kept thinking to myself, I couldn't even explain it, y'all. Like it was something I could not even rationally explain in my brain, but I just knew that this is what we had to do. I knew that this is what I needed to do. This is what I wanted to do. And I knew this was going to work. I had no idea how it was going to work because it was a crapshoot. Like it was a really crazy crapshoot a year ago. And I just knew. And I kept asking myself, like, what would my dad have done? What would my dad have done? And my dad was an incredible businessman. He was a chief financial officer, corporate controller, like finance guy. And I just kept telling myself, like, my dad would say, this is a great idea. And I know that it's going to work. So flash forward over this past year, there have been many moments where I still was like, I don't know how this is going to work. I don't know if this can work. Like everything in my body was saying, I don't know if this can work. And we had family telling us that it was not a good idea and asking us if we bit off more than we could chew. And we had I had other like friends even questioning it and just being like, well, if it doesn't work out, that's okay. And the whole time I just remember being like, it's going to work. Like, I know it's going to work. And that is my intuition. That was my intuition. It was my sacral literally just calming me down and being like, everything's going to be fine. It's going to work out. And so now we're like less than a month from closing on this house and it is all working out. And yes, of course, like with any sale of a home, there's still like little bumps and hiccups and things that are uncomfortable and kind of stretch you. And in a few weeks, when I slide like, $100 and something thousand across the table to close on this home, that's going to feel very scary and it's going to feel, my ego's going to go nuts. I just know that because this is money that I've never pushed before. This is like a new money mindset that I've never experienced before. So there is going to be a lot of shifting and there is going to be a lot of panic. But at the end of the day, the feeling that you have to follow when you make big decisions. So maybe that's investment in something. Maybe you're investing in a coach. Maybe you're buying a house. Maybe you're leaving a relationship that's no longer serving you. Maybe you're quitting your job. Maybe you're starting a business. I don't know what you're doing, but whatever it is, there are so many panicky moments along the way. And there's probably a lot of people in your life that you may be attracted into your life during a time of uncertainty, during a time of scarcity that, might be telling you it's a bad idea, might be telling you to stay safe. But at the end of the day, it's not their decision and it's not their intuition. And if there is something inside of you that is calm, cool, and collected, just saying, this is the move, then you have to follow that because that is your intuition. And we could get into a whole conversation about human design and where your intuition lies. But every single person on this planet has intuition, and you know what it feels like when you follow your intuition because it feels like butterflies. It feels calm and it feels cool and it feels collected. And it's just a deep knowing that you can't even understand or explain, but you just know it's the right choice for you. And that's how this house has been for me. And now that we're at the end of it, it's just like, I'm getting excited now because I'm like, oh my gosh, like imagine what happens to your life energetically. Imagine what happens to your ability to like manifest and what you can bring in after you like in such a radical way, like quantum leap through some money shit, like sliding that much money across the table like a couple years ago would have been paralyzing for me. And I'm kind of like excited about it now. And I'm thinking like, okay, well, what else can we do? Like, what else can we do with money? If like, that's what it is. And our house is already appraised way more than we bought it for. And like, everything is like making sense. And, it's one of those things where I can't stress this enough. There are things in your life you've been wanting to do. Investing, like I have people that slide into my DMs and they say like, I really want to work with you, but I just like can't afford it. And my answer to them is always, you would not have come to my DMs if it wasn't something that you could actually afford. Might it stretch you? Yes, it might stretch you. Just like building a home from the ground up, will it stretch me? Yes, absolutely. But is it something I can do? Yes, because otherwise my intuition would have never led me there in the first place. And I'll say the same thing to you. If there's a container you've been wanting to jump in, if there's something that you've been wanting to do, if there's a relationship you've been wanting to leave, if there's a job that you've been wanting to quit or start, if there's a house that you've been wanting to buy, if there's a coach you've been wanting to invest, something, you would not have been led to that feeling unless it was the right one for you. And I know that. With 100% confidence, I know that you would not have been led there if it was not the right decision for you. And so many people get so paralyzed because your logic creeps in. And y'all, your intuition is not logical. It will never sound like the logical choice because logic is connected to your ego and your ego is connected to scarcity and where you've been, and it doesn't want you to grow. So naturally, things that your intuition is telling you to do, which would involve you to grow like massively at an accelerated pace, is going to feel very scary to the ego, and therefore your logical mind is going to be like, danger, Will Robinson. But the quicker you can just realize that your intuition will never lead you in the wrong direction. It's always going to lead you down the right path. It always has your best interest at heart. It always knows your highest good. Your intuition is connected to your highest good. It's a direct line of communication. And as long as you're willing to follow that, you cannot be misled. Yes, it might stretch you. Yes, it might scare the hell out of you. Yes, you might have a lot of people that do not understand what you're doing, but they're not supposed to because it is not their calling. It is yours. So I had to share that story with you because I've been going through so many emotions, and Breezy and I are in LA for the weekend because she's racing, and I got to drive. I'm driving my dad's car. I stopped by his house, my stepmom, and I'm borrowing his car for the weekend, and it still smells like him 2 years later. And I just had a full mental breakdown this morning, just like thinking of all the times over the last couple of years that I just wanted to call him and ask him if what I was doing was okay, and how honestly how fucked up it is that I've had to heal because I always needed validation, or I thought I needed validation from my dad to do anything. And the past 2 years have taught me that I don't, because I have a very powerful intuition, and my intuition is connected to my higher self, and my higher self is connected to all of my angels and all of my spirit guides. And that is my dad. And every time it got scary, I could literally feel him just around me. I could feel his presence just saying, like, it is the right choice. Like, you know, the right choice. Follow your intuition. And now I'm about to close on the most gorgeous custom built home that I could have never even dreamed of. And it's all because I followed my intuition, and I did not listen to anybody who told me that it was not a good choice, because I knew, I couldn't explain it, but I knew that it was the right choice. And it was, because the house is already appreciated way more than what we're buying it for. And all of those little things, obstacles, high interest rates, like timing, all the things that I thought were going to get in the way are not that big of a deal. So if there's anything I can tell you today, it's follow the intuition. It's never going to lead you astray, I promise. If you want to talk more about this, come over to my Instagram at Danielle_on_the_daily. I want to talk to you about it. If you are struggling with this, like, tell me. If this is resonating with you, tell me. And go visit DanielleMcCleary.com. Check out my courses. If you have any questions, you can always come and hang out. And I'll be back on Tuesday with another episode. I love you all so much, and I hope you have a beautiful weekend. Bye.